on. What in the world is going on at Sweetwater? No, your eyes are not deceiving you. The greens are dead for a reason. Obviously, we're getting started on a project this week. Cypress Greens Renovation. A lot to cover here. Let's get after it. So back for another project on Cypress. Anytime you do something like this, you want to make sure you have goals, objectives, things you want to accomplish. And there are a lot of clubs that just do it because the club down the street's doing it. We want to make sure we're doing it for the right reasons, to give you guys the best surface that we can. So we've got a couple of them. I think a couple are more important than others, but number one is the changing of the grass type, right? You guys saw it on Pecan. We changed from emerald over to Tiff Eagle Bermuda grass. Just wasn't the quality of turf that we want for you guys on these greens. So making that change, you've seen the difference. And that was the main thing. Number two is to try to recapture some of the size that's lost over time. You know, any project I've ever done, any project's probably ever been done in history, the greens can tend to shrink on you over time. Collar grass kind of moving in. It's always hard to mow exactly on a point. So you're gonna lose some of that size. Number three is to try to correct any drainage issues, not necessarily in pipe or you know, drain basins, but in surface drainage where the water kind of naturally moves with gravity off the greens. You want to make sure it moves pretty easily without collar dams that I talk about. Going to correct a lot of those issues. And then number four, and probably even more important than the grass type, is just the fun. You know, we want to create some interesting contours on these greens. We want to make for some nice pin locations and challenges for you guys, but also just fun for the daily player. We don't want you playing the same golf course every single day. We want you to be able to set up, knowing where the pin's at on each green, be able to kind of strategize on what you're going to do on those shots to get you to that pin. So if you have them in the same place every day, you can pretty much throw the same club out there. But hopefully with these changes, we're going to make for some better variety around the greens, but also maybe variety in your shots from the fairway. Here we are looking at number 4 green on Cypress, and just to kind of show you, I'm sure some of y'all saw the orange paint lines we had around the greens last week. Of course, that just helps us know the line from which we're going to sod cut and remove. We don't do it right at the greens edge. We do it a little bit farther out because, as you can kind of see here on the edge of this collar, you get kind of this kind of dam right here that kind of builds up over time. Doesn't allow a lot of that water to kind of fall off. So we're going to go on out, you know, 10 to 12 feet on each green. Make sure we get everything perfectly tied in, because what you don't want to have a little bump here right at the edge. You want to have a nice smooth transition, same height, to where it's almost like an extension of the putting surface out towards that orange line. You want it nice and smooth. That way you can be able to chip shots better, putt from off the green, all those things. So that's why we go out an extra 10, 12 feet to kind of capture that, so we can get that tied in good. Here we are at the front of number 5 green, and to just kind of show you what I meant about these little sand dams. You can kind of see the orange lines, right? Those are straight lines that were painted, but you can see that now there's kind of this hump in them. That means there's this extra layer of dirt that, for whatever, over time you had all this silt, top dressing built up over the years, and now you got this kind of, like, we call them collar dams, and it blocks the water from coming off. You can imagine putting through something like that. You're gonna have to account for kind of going over this little mound. And so anyway, what we want to do with that is just kind of eliminate that and make it a nice tie-in from the edge of the green on down here. We are taking a look at number 4. Just want to show you guys, this one's been sod cut, obviously. You can kind of pull back that material, and you can kind of see the soil below. It's really good rich material. Doesn't have a lot of the organic that the thatch can bring. You can kind of see as I pick up a piece of the old sod, just that it's not a whole lot of sand in there, but just a mat of roots, decomposed material that just has to go. Get that out of there. And the difference with us starting with this blend, it's kind of rich in organics versus a straight sand green, is this will actually help us with nutrient retention, water retention, being able to kind of maintain a profile, because below this, if you've seen it before, it's 12 to 16 inches of sand. You know what sand does when you ever go to the beach? Pour some water on the sand at the beach, it goes right through it, right? You want something in a greens mix to be able to kind of hold moisture, retain moisture for the grass. Here we are looking behind number 2, and this green's been stripped. All the material's been taken off. I wanted to show you, we've got the, we've got the red flags kind of all the way around, marking the location of the greens liner. And I talk about it, but I want to show you what it is. Kind of this black plastic mat. It's about probably 16 to 20 inches deep. Kind of goes all the way around the perimeter of the green, and then inside is the sand mix for the green. So with that being there, we can always go back to where the green's located. Now I want to show you, of course, you see kind of my orange paint lines here where the green had gotten to. So it's an extra 3 or 4 feet that we lost over time. And then obviously we've cut out to this location to tie everything in. Now the difference between this project and pecan is, before, when we did this on pecan, we went out to our new old greens line and placed sod everything on the outside. So you had the sod line defining the collar and then the green. On this one, on Cypress, we're actually going to go with sprigs, greens grade sprigs, all the way out to the edge. And we're going to maintain probably a 5 to 6 foot collar that's probably less than 1/4 of an inch. Where your fairway height's a 1/2 inch, you'll have a 1/4 inch collar, and then you'll have putting surface by around 1/8 of an inch. So it's a little bit different. You're going to be capturing an additional probably 10 to 15 feet all the way around the greens of greens grass that you'll be able to do a lot more short game with. So with this project, we not only wanted to take the greens renovation, but we wanted to be able to make some changes to the golf course that kind of separate itself from pecan, right? Pecan's more of a traditional golf course, larger areas, greens aren't as perched up, a little bit more of your traditional feel. So on pecan, you're going to have greens, you're going to have a lot of rough surrounding the greens. We're changing that a lot this year over there. To differentiate itself from pecan on Cypress, you're going to have, obviously we're making these changes to the greens, but we're also going to take a lot of short grass around the greens. The land over there with the mounding and the contouring kind of lends itself to a bit more of a ground game, more of a, shot movement game, more variety, right? So we're going to kind of enhance that with a lot of the short grass surrounding the greens, wider fairways. We're going to expand a lot of the fairway cut. It's going to be more of a second shot course. So we're going to give you a lot of forgiveness off the tee. We know with some of the changes that we're making around the greens, with a lot of fairway cut around them, that your second shot into the green is going to be a bit more paramount. So we wanted to be a little bit more forgiving off the tee box. So you're going to see a lot of that coming up. I'm going to show you a little bit of explanation of what you can find. Okay, so here we are on number 9, just a little bit of an example of what we're talking about. Right now I've got rough height right all in here. Around most of our greens, there's an area of rough height. Then you got a collar height, and then you got the green. So what are my options on a shot like this in 2-inch rough to try to get it on the green? Not much other than a club with some loft, 60 degree, 52, somewhere in there, to kind of get some height on it, get it on the green, get over the rough. Now, with the expanded shortcut, you're going to have some different options. Take a nice little hybrid. Little putting stroke kind of gets it off the ground onto the green. Take something like a 6 or 7 iron. Just kind of get it started, get it off the ground, and use the putter. So what does that mean? It means 2 things. We got 2 different types of golfers, obviously, right? A high handicap, a player that has challenges hitting a lob shot out of 2-inch rough or whatever. Try to get it on the green. It's a little bit easier if I used a de-lofted club, trying to be able to punch or push or put it up onto that surface. But if you'll ask any tour pro, any scratch player, what's a harder shot, and they'll say it's a tight lie from around the green, where I've got to kind of clip it really nice and get it up on, get some good spin on it. A little bit more variety. So it works both ways. But the other thing you can see is I kind of look in the front of number one, where a lot of times if you've got a ball that's coming in hot, going fast towards the back of the green, you got a little backstop with some rough in the back. A lot of these greens now with short grass, you're going to have to be able to control your distance a lot better because you'll have balls that'll roll off. So it's going to reward the shot well played into the green. So not a whole lot of moving parts at this point. As you can see, it's more about sod cutting, removing the old material, locating the greens edge, kind of get us ready for the next week where we'll be doing some rough shaping, contouring, you know, kind of setting roughly the mounds and the decks, and then getting us more into the blending phase where we'll blend in compost and other nutrients that'll kind of help sustain that plant once it gets planted. But this week's more about setting the scene for you guys, kind of going through the explanation of what we're doing, why we're doing it, things you can expect, not just in the green, but also maybe in your game, short game around the greens, things you can practice, get yourself ready for when we do open. So look forward to next week.